Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Good evening, good morning, and good afternoon, depending on where you're listening from. My name is JosefStetter. I'm your host, the Resume Whisperer and Corporate Culturist. So I've looked at some of the feedback and some of the older shows I've had, and it seems that most people are concerned about, what they can or cannot negotiate for salary. And I want to kind of tie that into the theme of what we've been doing, which is different experts talking about what each industry looks for. And, the fact that you have passion, the fact that you have energy, the fact that you're a little bit better or different than other. And so this is where today I want to spend the time to talk about salary negotiations. Now, before I get into the salary negotiation, I want to kind of also explain that there's kind of a few ways to approach job finding. And so the two main ways in terms of where salary negotiations differ, one is through recruiters, headhunters, employment agencies. It is a resource that not a lot of people use or understand because they seem to kind of go, okay, I'll look on online boards like Indeed and things like that. And rather than look at things like agencies. So my recommendations for agency is that you want to register with three, call them industry leaders, such as your Robert Half, your Randstad, your Hayes. Those are the three biggest agencies in the world for it. And then three local ones. These are kind of smaller, more boutique agencies. And the reason I say to register with kind of at least six is because I assume half of them will not like you. They don't like your work experience. They don't particularly like your age. They might not like something about your cultural background. But again, we are very polite as a society, especially in North America. So we can't really tell you that you're being discriminated, and nobody will actually tell you that they're discriminating against you. So if you register with six, you're hedging your bet kind of thing because you can control getting there. And if you have three agencies that work for you, they can present you to companies. They already have contacts in. So understand, if these agencies are presenting you to their clients, they have a relationship with them. So it is in the interest of the agency to negotiate the best package for you, because most agencies earn a commission from the company, not you, that, the higher the salary, the higher the commission, because usually it's a percentage of the first year's pay. So let the agency know what are the requirements that you want or need. And, understand that before I get into how to negotiate salary, that ever since the pandemic, the workforce has changed. So you can negotiate a lot more than salary. You can negotiate your salary, you can negotiate bonuses, you can negotiate working from home or hybrid model where you work sometimes from home and sometimes in the office. You can negotiate extra vacation pay. You can negotiate better benefits. You can negotiate daycare. You can negotiate pet care. You can negotiate car allowance. You can negotiate potential car. Again, understand that all of these things that you can negotiate also depend on the industry that you're working in. For example, in construction, if you're a project manager above, it is very common that you either get kind of a gas card with like a credit card that you can pay gas for, or a physical car and the gas card as well. So not every industry does that. So please keep in mind that you can't just wake up tomorrow and be like, walk over into your boss's office and go, I demand a car. It doesn't quite work like that. But understand that there's variances. And you also have to understand that prior to negotiating a salary, that the foundation of great salary negotiation is what you've done in the interview. So let me just see. I'm trying to, my slides are not sharing for some reason. Okay, salary negotiation. So as I mentioned, if you're, I've got a visual in the background because I want those that are more visual learners, I want you to see what I'm talking about. So I've talked about the employment agency. Let them do the negotiating for you. And you can let them know if you have specific requirements, like you need this or you need this, because again, even something as transportation can be included. Okay. Now, throughout many of the episodes that I've had, I've talked about the importance of being confident. Now, confident is not just posture-wise, I'm confident speaking from your diaphragm. Confidence is also, here's how great I am at what I do. Here are the results of what I bring to the table. So when, you know, we live in a society that loves acronym. Many cell phone users tend to speak in acronyms like BRB, LOL. Many of you know what that is because those are the two most common ones. So understand that in the world of job finding, there's acronyms like STAR, situation, task, action, result. There's acronyms like PAR, problem, action, result. There's CAR, concern, action, result. They all basically mean the same thing. You were hired to do something very specific. What was it that you needed to address? What was the steps or the strategy or the action that you took to solve it? And what were the results that you produced? Now, the results that you produced also need to be tied in to what is the significance of those results. Because if, let's say, you work in sales and you tell me that you did $100,000 in sales, but then you work in IT sales and you're selling software, 100,000 is actually very low because most software sales are $1 million and take a longer time. So it's very important to measure or to quantify. So throughout previous episodes that we've had, I've mentioned that I've worked in sales. I've switched careers a few times. So I worked for a private college that was selling how to be a first-year mechanic or how to work a service counter in the automotive industry and to do dispatching for trucks and cabs and various work in dispatch, for example. The average course was about 10 grand. Now, prior to me being hired by this college, the college had generated $530,000 for the entire year. In 1 month, I was able to generate $860,000 in sales for them. Now, usually when I needed to tell that to possible employers, the reaction is like, wow, that seems quite a lot. How did you do it? And as long as I can explain the how, and I clearly could, because I realized that a lot of the people that were coming to talk to me were from WSIB, which is the Workplace Safety and Insurance Board. There were truck drivers that hurt their back on the job. And so as part of this, especially in Canada, because they got injured on the job, they're basically getting their salary for the rest of their life. So once I understood this, I went to the headquarters of WSIB and said, I've seen a few truck drivers that come and said, you can pay basically $36,000, which will get them their level 1 and level 2 service technician to work in a dealership or car parts, to get their dispatch designation and their manager designation. And that will cost you $36,000 as a package for all the courses together. And in a year and a half, these individuals will completely be off your books. And the headquarters of WSOB went, wait. So you're telling us we could pay $36,000 instead of paying $100,000 to $150,000 in salary for somebody that was a truck driver that got injured on the job, and in a year and a half time, they're off our books, they're hired. I said, yes, there's that much demand. And in fact, the college will give them their job or find them their job. And they went, okay, from now on, anybody that says they are from WSIB, don't even ask them questions, just sign them up for the $36,000 program. And I signed about 25 people on the $36,000 program, which is about $600,000. And then a few that were from unemployment insurance there was a package to kind of train them and educate them, and a few individuals that paid on their own. And hence I generated $860,000 in 1 month. Now, the moment that I can show that I generate $860,000 in 1 month, when I get to the salary, I've already told them how good I am. At this point, they don't want to take the chance that they're losing me over 5-10 grand. So understand that salary negotiation requires a little bit of psychology. It's how you present the information. Now, you can go to websites like salary.com, payscale.com, glassdoor.com, indeed.com, salarylist.com. There's a whole bunch of them, and you can also find local ones depending on where you live across the world. There are specific websites that will tell you what the salary scale is. So know the range. Now, understand that the salary question is kind of like one of the best and worst trick questions that you can have. Because if you give a figure that is ridiculously high, that's completely outside of the market, you're shooting yourself in the foot, because companies will dismiss you because you're way outside of the range. If you give a figure that's way too low, you're also shooting yourself in the foot, because you're undervaluing what you're worth. Okay, and a lot of companies will take advantage of that or of you. So understand that when you go into negotiating salary, you should know I've presented the best version of me, the results, the actions I took or strategy I had, the problems I solved, and the significance of the results. So that it's not just results. It's not just, let's say, if you're an IT person, I build this website. It's how did you automate? How did you make things faster, better, or different? Those are the three things that will get you more salary. That's the psychology. So when you go to negotiation, first of all, if you've done your research, you should know the ranges, right? So say when I did a little bit of research prior to applying for this job, I understand that the industry pays between this and that. Given my level of expertise and given the level of results that I've produced, and if you feel that I'm the best candidate for this job, I'm sure you'll make me a great offer. That's the first way to negotiate the salary without saying anything. Right now, if you haven't done your homework as much, and you've applied for a job and it didn't say what the salary range is, because again, in some states it's mandatory to say what the salary is, or in some professions. In others, it's a little bit more discreet. So if there's no information on what the salary range is, the second way to negotiate salary is to look them in the eyes. Now, if you are of a culture that considers looking into the eyes offensive, such as people that some of the First Nations, Métis, or Inuit that exist, or, for example, Japanese culture, sometimes in Middle Eastern culture, looking into the eyes is considered looking into the soul. So look right above the eyebrows. It's a trick, a martial arts trick, because it gives you peripheral vision, but it doesn't go against what you believe in. So if you don't know what the salary is, look into the eyes or right above the eyebrows, smile, and say, when I applied here, there was no mention of the salary. What is the range for this position? Now, always talk in range, never give a specific number, because if you're giving a specific number, you're minimizing your chances. Okay, so they'll tell you what the range is. Now, a few things that you need to understand in salary negotiations, especially HR, they have checkpoints that they need to go through. If you're in a first interview and they ask you about salary, you are allowed to say, you know what, we're still getting to know each other. You haven't decided if I'm the best candidate for this job, and I haven't decided if this position is for me. until we get to know each other better, I would rather defer the salary question or better understand what the role is, what the responsibility is, and how you see me fitting in before we discuss the salary. That's another way of negotiating salary, and it is a very important way because, again, it allows for control. Now, if the company is insistent and asks you 5-6 times, again, always give a range, never a specific number. Okay, I can tell you from my own experiences and the people that I coach as a resume whisperer, I've helped people get anywhere from a $30,000 raise on average to about $60,000 raise. And in addition to that, my most extreme case of salary negotiations, I got somebody a $450,000 raise in 4.5 hours. One of the most stressful negotiations of my life. More on that later. Okay, so again, I want you to kind of understand that you are allowed to stay in control when it comes to salary negotiation without kind of telling them or showing them all your cards or your hand if you play poker or any card games, right? So again, understand that I'm giving you examples. I don't want you to mimic me word for word. I don't want you to sound like a robot. I want you to have your own personality. And so I want you to understand that these are just samples that you can reword and change around to say. So the first one I've already mentioned, which is before we discuss salary, I'd like to know more about the company and the position and make sure that this is the right opportunity for me, just like you're making sure that I'm the right person for you. And we have to make sure that it's fit for both of us. The second one is kind of getting a little bit of insight as to what is this role? How does it fit into the company, the strategy of the department or the business unit, right? The pay should reflect the importance or the need for it. Now, as a side note, keep in mind that if a company has been looking for somebody for over 4 months, they're losing a ton of money. The statistics say that one open position in a company costs on average between $100,000 to $180,000 per month per position. So think about what I just said. On average, $100,000 to $180,000 per month per position. So if they've had a position open for 5-6 months, that means that the business has lost between $500,000 and $750,000. So if you are great at what you do, they will want to make sure that they don't lose you because they can't afford to have this position open, which means they'll be willing to pay you significantly more. Okay. As a sidebar, and again, because I'm a corporate culturist, I spend a lot of time learning the industry. Turnover in North America, United States and Canada, is costing over $1 trillion a year. Trillion with a T, not a B, not a billion, $1 trillion. Do you know how expensive that is for companies? And companies that don't understand the importance of paying for talent, for results, are going to start falling apart. Okay, so again, in the realm of scope for negotiation, very simple. I'm interested in finding a job that is a good fit for me. I'm sure that whatever salary you're paying is consistent with the rest of the market. Now, understand, if you've done your research from the websites I mentioned earlier in the slides, or go on Google and type salary range for your state or province, your particular career stream, okay, you can say, I understand that the industry pays from this to this. Given the results that I've proven to you, I've produced in my past, if you think I'm the best fit for this position, you will want to pay me at the higher end of that because I will produce even better results for you. Now, notice that I said you will want. Why did I say you will want? Because you're planting a seed that you're going to 10x in the minimum the salary that they pay you. you're going to produce such amazing results that it's going to solve their headaches. It's going to solve their problems. You know, to understand that you have value. So you can present value in multiple ways. You can say, you know what, I have no problem with a lower salary, but a higher back-end incentive in terms of bonuses and performance incentives. Because once you hire me and you see how amazing my work is, you'll want to pay me more money so that I don't leave you. Right. And again, it's a model where this is confident. And if you've discussed results, so I gave you an example from my career of sales results, but another example of sales results that I've produced is I was asked to build 2 call centers from scratch. The last one I built was a call center for, again, private education in colleges, where the expectation was that my team will generate $300,000 for the year with restrictions that we call leads that are more than 50 miles from the nearest campus or 75 kilometers and more than 4 months old. The expectation was that my team will convert at 1% maybe, but given the volume of colleges and given the volume of leads, can generate an extra $300,000. In under 6 months, my team did $2.25 million. So again, not only did I show you that I know how to do sales, but now I've given you an example that says I know how to direct or lead a sales team. So now when somebody says, well, I want to hire you as a director of sales, I've given them proof that I can sell. I've given them proof that I'm a director because I manage a team of about 12 recruiters, and at $2.25 million in less than 6 months, that is about 7-8 times the expectations that were set for me, right? So I can use that as leverage and say, if you want that or better for your company, then you better, not you better because it's too demanding, but you will get great value in giving me an incentive to be excited about what I'm doing and to be excited about leading your sales team to produce much better results than you expect and to surpass all of your kind of expectations and key performance measures, right? So again, the confidence comes from the fact that you've presented details in a way that people understand. So going into the next few ones, right, I realize that you need to be sure my expectations are consistent with the salary range of this position. To ensure we're aligned, you know, again, reinforcing what is the range. And you can also say why you're worth on the higher end of the range, or even to say outside of the range. And as long as you can justify what it is or how it is, you're good to go. You don't have a problem, right? So if this is a company you really want to work for, again, you could talk about the fact that give you the chance to prove yourself. Oops, I apologize. I pressed the wrong thing. To prove yourself and, again, be rewarded. So if they're willing to put in writing that your salary can be reviewed after 3 months, after your probation, for example, and then you can negotiate, right? I love doing this and kind of throwing people when I negotiate. I'm like, listen, you can't really compare what I did in my last job to what I'm trying to do here, because that's like comparing apples and oranges. They're not the same fruit, right? In my last job, I had these duties and responsibility. This is a much bigger role where there'll be a bigger team, or based on the interview, my title will be higher, or there's more responsibilities. So you need to pay for the responsibilities that I'm taking on and the results that I'm going to produce for you. So that means that, you know, if this is the range you initially thought of, and I'm the best person for this job, you need to pay for that, right? At the end of the day, my salary shouldn't break your bank. My salary is going to produce at least 10 times what you pay me, which means you've gotten your money back and then some, right? Now, I started this conversation by saying, nowadays, especially after the pandemic, there are so many other things that you can negotiate outside of salary. You can negotiate bonuses, profit share, gym membership, right? I know my producer is, you know, very, 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 very committed to going to the gym. And so imagine if a company says, we'll pay for all of your gym activities as incentive for you to work here, right? You can negotiate, you know, not the standard 2-3 weeks of vacation. You can negotiate a lot more than that. You know, and there's companies that are willing to give you a lot more than that. Usually they reserve it for someone that's worked X amount of years, and, you know, every year you get an extra week or whatever, blah, blah, blah. But you can negotiate that. You can negotiate working from home. You can negotiate a new laptop. You can negotiate a cell phone. You can negotiate, you know, daycare. You can negotiate bringing your pet to work. Again, it depends on the company, depends on the industry, depends on the culture of the organization. Not every company will agree to those things, but I've helped people negotiate a plethora of different things that they were like, you know what, this is important for me. And even though some of those things are relatively inexpensive, $50 here, $100 there, it's the fact that the company is willing to do it that made the difference. And again, it's a principle rather than the monetary value of it, right? So those are things that, again, very important, that if you've presented the results that you can produce and the significance of the results, again, the worst that happens if you ask for something is they say no. But as some of the old adages kind of go, if you shoot for the moon and miss, you'll still end up in the stars, right? That's one of the most common ones. Understand that, yes, companies have industries and standards says this is our salary range, this is what we're willing to do. So if they can't give on the salary, they give it in other ways. So if you look at, I'll use one of the professions, a profession like sports, like basketball players, most of the teams have salary caps on how much they can pay their players as part of the dynamic of the sport. But owners are being creative at going, okay, if you score this many points, you get this much bonus. If you have this many rebounds, if you have this many assists, if you're not injured, if we make the playoffs, if you make it to the next round of playoffs, if we do this, there's incentive. You know, in every sport you can have that. Why not with employers? Again, some companies, some of the big industry leaders will nickel and dime you. It exists today and it will continue to exist. You know, even shows like Undercover Boss, you know, there is sometimes executives that go undercover that kind of go, I'll give you a $5,000 bonus. Clearly they can afford to give a lot more than that, but that's their model. And it is what it is. You know, everybody has their own way of taking care of people, but companies that don't understand the fact that turnover is going to cost them millions of dollars. Like I had an engineering firm that lost $1.5 million in contracts because they refused to give salary increases and they couldn't handle the volume of work they can do, or sign on more work. That's where the $1.5 million got. And because the owner was forcing their engineers to kind of work an insane amount of overtime without pay, without his engineers started tuning out and saying, well, if you're not paying me for all this extra work that I'm doing, I'm going to call in sick. I'm going to make less effort or make enough effort not to get fired. And that is an epidemic. I'll use that word. That's happening across most workforces right now. 80 to 90% of people in North America hate their job. I use the word hate because it's not, I dislike my boss. It's literally, if I didn't need this paycheck, I wouldn't be here. And that is a very dangerous and, forgive me for using this expression, cancerous mentality to have for your workforce. If you wake up, go, oh my God, I got to go to work today. That is not a good position to be in. And companies that don't understand this, especially now that we live in the digital revolution, are going to start falling apart. Because, you know, if you don't take care of your people, you will. So Costco, for example, in not only from research, but from observation and from kind of understanding. One of the best retailers to work for. There are cashiers. I said the word cashiers at Costco that make $100,000 a year. Costco has calculated that to lose one good cashier costs them between $100,000 and $140,000 per month. Because let's say in Ontario, Canada, the worst Costco store does $1 million a day in sales. $1 million. Now, Costco measures their cashiers in three ways: how fast you are, how accurate you are, and your ability to do quick chit chat but keep the line going. If you score well in those three categories, Costco within 6 months will give you a $5 raise, kind of thing. And Costco has a mindset that they want their employees to be happy and take care of their employees, that most of their full-time employees have benefits, and most of the back office for Costco, around 70% of it, actually started being cashiers, pushing carts. So when Costco promotes you, they give you about 2 months, maybe 3 months, depending on the seniority of the position, to train your replacement. So that you're not just doing surface training, you're showing them some of the more complex situations that you need to deal with, right? And this is why you go to Costco on any given day, on a weekend, on a long weekend, and the people that are working there, they're smiling, they're happy. Why? Because they're being taken care of. There's a level where Costco appreciates their employees and does things beyond salary, such as, you know, this product is no longer going to be sold at Costco. They'll give certain products for free to their employees or at a very significant discount. And given that Costco sells everything, you can imagine some of the rewards that people get. Like, honestly, my next house, I'm furnishing it from Costco because they have some beautiful things there. And if I was an employee and I could get some of that furniture for free or some of the stuff that they have or for a significant price, I would take so much advantage of that. But I digress. Back to salary negotiations. So understand that if you've done a good job presenting the information, showing them that you know who you are, you know what you bring to the table, you know what you're worth, salary negotiation becomes easy, becomes simple because you're negotiating in, oops, something happened here. You're negotiating in a model of, I'm bringing you so much value that you'll be crazy to let me go. So we have a few minutes. I want to go back. I've shared this in the past, but I want you to understand salary negotiation at an extreme level. So I had a gentleman that was a financial controller for a company that does blank CDs and DVDs. He was making $65,000 a year with a $20,000 bonus. For 5 years, his employer told him that he cannot get a raise because the company's not making enough money. Okay, now this is going back to about 2006, roughly. I had a client that was doing custom surround sound systems for homes that in the Toronto area of Canada are selling for about $2 million. This is where everything was wireless inside the walls. Everything was to a touchpad. And again, this is before this became common pretty much nowadays as a technology. My client absolutely loved this financial controller, asked me what he's making. I told him $65,000 with a bonus of 20. Said, okay, great. I'll offer him a base of $85,000 and $25,000 bonus incentive to come work for me. Called the candidate, told him the good news. Candidate submitted his resignation letter. Within about a half hour of submitting his resignation letter, his boss, the VP of finance, came in to his office and said, you can't leave. You're too important for this company. What did this other job offer you? He told them. He goes, okay, wait here. In a half hour, he came back and said, okay, we'll give you a base of $120,000, $30,000 bonus to stay here. Again, 5 years refused to give him a raise. All of a sudden, this gentleman resigns. They're now offering him $120,000 and $30,000 bonus. Candidate called me, says, like, I've been working here for 10 years. I know everybody. I know the systems. I know kind of, I have a level of comfort. I'm like, okay, let me call my client and tell him the bad news. The client was like, listen, there's something really special about this guy. I absolutely loved him. What'd they offer him? I told him $120,000 and $30,000. He goes, fine. I'll give him a base of $160,000, $40,000 bonus to come work for me. Called the candidate, told him the news. Candidate resigned again. Within about 45 minutes, the entire leadership team of that organization came into his office and said, you're the only one that knows what's going on here with the numbers. You're way too important for this company. What'd they offer you? He told them 160 and 40. Like, okay, wait here. They went, they discussed, they came back within 45 minutes to an hour, looked at him and said, we'll give you a base of $200,000 and 2% ownership in the company. You'll make about $250,000. Candidate calls me, tells me this. I'm like, oh my God, you're killing me, right? And I understand this is a very significant raise. Now, I'm trying to play psychology with him, and I'm like, look, do you think that if they pay you so much more money, they're going to treat you worse or better? For 5 years, they refused to give you a few $1,000 raise. Now they're giving you, that kind of raise. How do you think you're going to be treated? Called my client, told him what happened. My client looks at me and says, you know what? I'm going to make him my right-hand man. This is my final offer to him. I'll offer him a base of $265,000 and 9% ownership in my company. In his worst year, he will make $500,000. And when I called the candidate, I said, this guy has come back 3 times. You haven't worked a single day for him. This is how much he wants you. Your company for 5 years basically said they don't care about you. You need to take this job offer because, opportunities like this never come. And he did. That negotiation took 4.5 hours. The most stressful negotiation of my life. More stressful than proposing to my wife. Because, again, my commission as a recruiter was very, very high. But the fact that, my client was willing to basically give him a $430,000 raise without even a day of work speaks volume. And again, clients that hire me, I've been helping them get $50,000, $60,000 raise and a lot of perks in the back end. If it's done correctly, there is no limit on what you can negotiate. That's the show for today. I hope you've enjoyed. I hope you learned something, and I hope this helps you in your process. Thank you again for listening. My name is JosefStetter, and I'm the Resume Whisperer and Corporate Culturist. I hope you have a beautiful evening, a beautiful morning, and a great afternoon, and make it productive. Thank you.